Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Red Tool House. Today is the day that we are taking the Coupe de Ville out of its winter place and getting it started on the seasonal rotation. So we're going to take it out of the garden and get it in another spot where they can have access to fresh grass. So come along. So this is where they were. And what's crazy is this, of course, underneath the coupe is dry, and that's why you see that. But here where I'm standing used to just be red clay, used to be just that over there. And I put down wood chips earlier in the winter, and the chickens, of course, have just been here pooping, doing all the things they do. We gave them access to this entire area. It's obviously denuded of any grass, little chunk right there, but it's just super squishy. I feel like I'm walking on a sponge right now. So what we're going to do is, of course, get them off of here. I'm going to come back and put a nice top dressing of composted wood chips, stuff that's really broken down well that we can plant in. But we're going to have a serious hot spot right here, of course. So we'll probably wait and plant later crop in that to see if it has a chance to break down. We'll test and see. It may be too hot. You're really supposed to compost chicken manure for over a year, but we'll see how it goes. But it's really exciting to see. I mean, usually by this time of year, we would have to tarp the garden and try to eradicate everything that grows over the winter. So like if you come over here to the edge of the fence line, so here's where the electric fence stopped. You can see the grasses and the creeping Charlie and all that type of stuff. So they've just eradicated all of that within the areas of their fence, of course. So we're getting them out and going to move them to a new spot. The grass is still really in its stage of dormancy. So what we're going to do, instead of going down this way where we normally go and run them down in the valley, we're actually going up. So we're going to go, where am I? We're going to go up the little road behind my truck, which is I'm a little apprehensive about. That road's pretty rough and it's pretty steep. So this will be a test to make sure that my wooden trailer frame doesn't pull apart as the side-by-side tries to take it up the hill. We haven't had rain in about 4 days. That was kind of what I was waiting for, so that road wouldn't be a muddy, slimy mess. But stuff's still damp, so we'll see if we can get it up there without breaking the tongue off and the chickens go flying over the hill. I'm not going to claim that. In fact, that's not what's going to happen, because that would be obviously a Greek tragedy if that happened. All right, so that actually went well. If you're ever in a situation, you have confidence in what you build, until you really have to test what you've built. So I was a little worried. I was like, man, I hope that axle doesn't break off, or I hope that the tongue doesn't break off, something like that. But Kelly was my spotter. She had some big chunks of wood there to chalk the trailer tires if I got hung up and couldn't go any further. And then, of course, we could have just winched on up the hill with the winch on the front of the side-by-side. But that pulled great. Another reason why I bought the bigger side-by-side, to be able to handle pulling loads up these hills safely. Had that in 4-wheel low with diff lock on, so all 4 tires were doing what they needed to do. So that actually worked out pretty smoothly. So you can see it over there. We're going to back it all the way back here, which is right behind the chicken church. So it's a little higher. This is actually our little area we have our campfires. So we're going to set it here so they can clean this area up a little bit. And then over the course of the next several weeks, maybe even a month, we'll just work our way that way where the coop is. And there's actually some fruit trees over there that we'll let them get around and clean up. Of course, we'll protect the roots and the trunk with some chicken wire. But to be able to have them up here, this grass will become active sooner because it's south facing on the north ridge. It has all this sky you see, all the sun, so it'll kick in the quickest. So I think it'll do less damage if they start on it. But we're not going to let them stay here very long. We can probably be a week at most, and then we'll move on to another spot. So Kelly's going to spot me as we back up. This is where I need those big trucker mirrors, like you see the guys with the Dodge Rams that don't tow anything, but they got mirrors that stick out 3 feet. All right, so a little muddy, but we got it back okay. Now just gonna set it up and get the water in place. Now we're still getting below freezing temperatures, but they're kind of mild below. So I know I can go back to my tank, go back to my bell water. The heat that comes off the chickens really keeps that tank from freezing up. It'll get a little crust on it, but it won't split and bust unless we have low teens. So if we do that, then I'll have to come up and drain it. But I'm going to be optimistic, right, Kel?
So like you.
Yeah, be optimistic and think that we can start catching water now. Some chickens. All right, I think they're really going to enjoy this new patch of ground. It's definitely got more to offer than what the garden had. We're getting slim pickings in the garden there. So we'll probably leave them here for a week and then just move on down. We've got plenty of room to go. All right, let's get back and focus on the garden. Methinks the garden soil is a little softer than I expected. That's exactly what I didn't want to do, is get in here and drive around like an idiot and compact everything. But my goodness, she sinks quick. So I'm going to get unloaded, and the next load we're going to try to just back up gingerly. Maybe even Mary Annley, we'll see. All right, so I got that first trailer load unloaded. Spread out a little bit here. I didn't video that. I reckon you guys don't want to sit here and just watch me unload, even on time lapse. You're just working the pitchfork, right? Comment below if you'd like to see me work and justify the sweat on my brow. Otherwise, we'll leave that part out. So I think we'll get one more load. And what I want to do is cover up our manure cap here. And that way, I think that'll compost down. Obviously, it'll help with a little bit of the odor that we have too. As I'm starting to get my sense of smell back from COVID, I'm realizing how much the chicken yard this winter had a little bit of savory flavor to it. So we want to hide some of that as well. All right, one more load. All right, so the second load was a little bit heavier and a little bit more difficult to get back here in the spot that I needed to. But I think I was able to do it with enough stealth that Kelly won't notice. I don't think she'll notice too much of any yard damage or anything like that. I think it'll be fine. So we're ready to unload it. Hey, you guys are looking at a dead man walking right now. What are you gonna do? She wants a garden. You got to make some dirt to have a garden. Thanks. So we're so quick here at Red Tool House. I know some of you guys already commented below that you'd like to watch me unload the whole trailer. So I'm going to do that in real time. No, I'm not. All right, I think we're going to stop there before I tear anything else up. I just piled up that last load here, be able to spread it out a little bit. It needs to dry out a little bit more. Of course, I also need to dump this 50 gallons of water out too, because I need to move the rain barrel. It doesn't need to be here. But we'll move on to the next garden project. All right, so as we expand our fencing that way, I also want to get our raised beds that we have here a little cleaned up and straightened up. The first big thing is, you can't really tell, it's just a field of green here, but there's all kinds of elderberry starts here. If you've watched the channel for a while, you know that I like to do elderberry cuttings in the fall, and I just come and I stick those in a certain spot in our raised beds, just the cuttings. And of course, if they decide to take root and bloom out, then I let them go for a year in this raised bed and then transplant them somewhere else. But now we're going to just transplant them into pots because not 100% sure where I'm going to put all these yet. May sell a couple, give some away, that type of thing. Going. All right, so elderberries. We finished out with 27, I believe, that I was able to transplant into pots. I've got 25 more to do, but I ran out of dirt. And the crazy thing is, some of these guys are absolutely huge. It's one of those deals where I got to figure out a way to transplant these where they're going to hang out in the ground for a year, but be able to get back out of there pretty easily. But when the GoPro decides to die, it just dies. So let's try to get this in real quick. So 27 here, 25 more to go. Got to get some more soil and get those transplanted, and then we'll see how that goes. I've got 3 varieties, as mentioned. We had Stark Brothers, is a Nova, and then an Adams variety, and then our West Virginia Wild that we have growing all over the place. So we'll see how those go. All right, so we've pretty much wrapped up. We did a total of, this is 4 trailer loads. The last 2, of course, we decided to wheelbarrow, so I wouldn't trash the yard any more than I had. But we got this half amended. This half is the older part of the garden. This is the part that we did the most, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we feel pretty comfortable with what we have there. Just last year and the year before did we try to go in this area. So this area is kind of new. That's why we parked the chicken tractor there, or the chicken coop there. We wanted to have that get amended the most. So we brought it all the way up here to our fence line edge, and I think that'll do it. That leaves me probably have about 5 more trailer loads of wood chips down there, that really good composted stuff. So now we just got to figure out how to get some fence up around.
Right. Right. It's not secure yet.
Yeah, so we'll work on that next. I kind of Kelly saw the backyard. What was your reaction when you saw the backyard?
It's a bit of a mess. But that's status quo for this time of year, right? When we're trying to amend the garden, so.
Yeah, so I didn't think I'm not in as much hot water as I thought maybe I would be. It's not mowing season yet, so if she had to mow around this, that'd be a little tough. But yeah, so we've obviously stirred up a lot back here. We have a lot of water that drains around behind the house. There's a pipe that drains. We need to extend that. So when we get all this leveled out and figured out, then we can have more permanent drainage. But the hillside, all the water comes down the hillside here. So as she said, this time of year, as things are thawing out and rain and just wet, it's really tough to do it. So if we waited till it was dry, then
it wouldn't have been done in time. And we still need to, I know that we've got a lot of work on this patch of yard anyway, because of what we need to do to amend from where the hillside is eroded down the hill, so
yes.
It's got a lot of work too.
Yeah, so that's those are ongoing projects as we figure out how to keep the mountain from coming down on the house. But so we'll keep moving on. The fence project, tying it into the chicken church, all of that is what we actually spent a lot of time today kind of formulating what we wanted to do to get some tests and process there. We took the T-posts down. You saw us load up those T-posts. Took them down to the barn where I can modify them. We're going to weld some tabs on it, and that's an upcoming video for our raised fence, and I'll show you what we've got going on there as well. But that should take care of us. I believe it's dinner time, isn't it?
What are we having? I'm excited.
I believe it's around the time of dinner. I don't know that it's dinner time yet. We'll have to figure that out. Well, y'all have a great week.
Bye-bye.
Take care.